Paul, first things first, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, yeah. No away form. Happy birthday, we're playing at home. Yeah, 52 today, so thank you very much.
No problem. And last week, obviously, you spent in Dubai. Good to get away and have a break, I suppose.
Yeah, it was a tough game on the Wednesday against Stoke. I think, we started the game quite well. Probably the game filtered a little bit more towards Stoke, if you like, in the latter stage of the game. So, pleased to get a point, move on. No game at the weekend. Great opportunity to get the lads away. Quite a new faces in and around it. The lads coming back from injury, so we had a game over there with Shanghai, which went very well. It allowed us to get everybody minutes, which was good. And the lads totally enjoyed the trip. We've been back, we've prepared well now for Ipswich, so very much looking forward to the game.
And I suppose first chance, I think, since November to get a break. It's been a relentless schedule that you guys have been on.
Yeah, it's tough, but by the way, we're in a lucky profession. Don't get me wrong, for people out there, our tough schedules in the real world is not as tough as some people have it, that's for sure. So in football terms, tough, yeah. Really tough, I'm not so sure.
And in terms of that, just in terms of the squad mentioned that you've had since November, you've been playing games, I suppose mentally as much as physically, good to just have that break for a week.
I think one of the crucial things for us was over the winter months, especially with the injuries that we had. The squad was quite stretched. It's just the way it is. You get injuries, it's part and parcel of the game. We were quite stretched, but since the window's gone past, the reality is now our numbers are good. The competition for places are good. I'm picking people to go on the bench now is good. So we're playing a little bit of catch up realistically in where we want to be, because I do feel that there's been a few more points in us. We'd love to be in that group that's above us. Unfortunately we're not. We respect where we are, and there's a lot of hard work.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
I thought that was going to be first then.
Come on. Happy birthday to you.
Shut the door on your way out. Thank you.
Pint of lager.
But I suppose now it's about getting back to the real stuff, the grind that is the Championship. 14 games to go now.
Yeah, listen, the games are there for all to see. We're delighted with the fixtures that we have remaining, especially the home ones, which, we certainly have Millwall to come at home, Bolton to come at home, Ipswich tomorrow, which is a great game. So we feel our destiny's in our own hands. And as a manager, I always think that's very important.
And this week, Gary Roberts signing a new one-year extension. Important and good news to keep him about.
I think one of the most important things about football clubs sometimes is your senior players. If you're being truthful about Gary, we've probably seen him on the pitch maybe a little bit more this year than what we all envisaged. It's not just the effect that players have on a football pitch sometimes, it's what they do in and around the club. I think when you get the calibre of player, the way they love football like Gary does, and how he loves the game and looks after himself to do that. In this summer that went by, we lost Noel Hunt and David Perkins. And by the time we got into the beginning of the season, you could visually see the effect it had on the players, that two strong senior characters weren't here. The importance is if you get them senior characters right, like we do in Gary, then another year for Gary's a no-brainer.
And in terms of the squad, I suppose there isn't much Championship experience among them. Leon and Danny have obviously come in, but Gary is one of those who's played at this level before. Yeah,
Gary's been outstanding this year. His goals against Aston Villa, etc. Was a Blackburn and all. There's been big goals for us. He's played a big part in it. But with the injuries to Massey and Jacobs, Nathan Burns slotted in, Gary slotted in. Gary can play football at this level. He's got quality for sure. But like everything, age will catch up with everyone one day. But for me as a manager, sometimes the training ground's such an important place. And if you have a happy environment around your training ground, that transmits onto pitches and stadiums and affects performance. And for us, I felt even going back, losing Perkins and Hunt, with two strong personalities, that may be looking towards maybe keeping them another year. Obviously on not the money they're on, for the fans' point of view, but for that chemistry that comes off the pitch, because, for successful teams, there's got to be a harmony. For me, if you walk in a training ground, sometimes you sense an atmosphere. When things aren't going well, you will sense a bad one. And when things are going well, you sense a good one. For me, when times aren't so good, then players can lift the mood and the character around the place when it's not going so well, and that's important in football.
And I suppose Ipswich to come at home at the weekend, you mentioned before those games that have gone away from you. I suppose that game down at Portman Road probably falls into that category, does it?
Well, the first thing I remember was how cold it was for the supporters. That's for sure. They must have been freezing in that stand. I don't think it was a great game in any shape or form. On reflection, it was certainly a game we didn't deserve to lose, that's for sure. Whether we deserve to win, it's irrelevant because we lost. you know, but the game was petered now to a 0-0 draw. So, you know, it is what it is. Good luck to Ipswich with that. You know, they come to us tomorrow having, I can't say bad luck, but being involved in a lot of games and coming out on the wrong end. You know, and that's tough for teams. You know, even if you look back at the Norwich game, you know, just a while ago, at 1-0 down, they were the better team for long, long periods, and then you get that sucker punch, you're going 2 behind, and all of a sudden the game takes care of itself. So Ipswich carry a threat tomorrow. They'll be coming here and wanting to win the game. They have to win football matches like we all do. So we look forward to seeing Paul, and you know, hopefully it'll be a good game for everybody.
I suppose it just shows how brutal this division is, because as you say, they've been competitive in a lot of games, but find themselves at the bottom of the table. Oh,
listen, Ipswich, like all clubs in these divisions, you know, you've only got to look in the division below to see Sunderland sitting there. You know, these league can be unforgiving for anyone, and you know, Ipswich is a fantastic club. It's steeped with history. It's steeped with tradition of doing well and producing good players and playing good football. You know, and I'm sure that Paul is in the process of trying to sort out, you know, whatever problems Ipswich might have. That's not for me to sort of dictate about. You know, certainly when you're involved in the games like we've watched them in, they've come off on a lot of results that you can't say they haven't deserved, but they've been in the games. You know, they've never been backs to the wall and defending their own box. It's been a case of maybe missing 1 or 2 that end and then conceding. So I'm sure Paul's trying to solve that as he goes along. We've got a difficult game tomorrow, but it's one that we're very much looking forward to. And I suppose for yourself, chance to move 4 games unbeaten, which just shows in this division how difficult it is to string those runs together but build that momentum. You've interviewed me a lot over the last 18 months. You just keep going in the league. Whatever the result brings tomorrow, we move on to Middlesbrough. And then come that final day of the season, the league table will tell no lies for us all. There's plenty of teams in, well, not plenty, I would suggest. I think there's a few teams at the bottom that are fighting for that. There's certainly plenty up the top end that are fighting for promotion. There's probably a few teams in that little middle bit now that are probably looking at the season as it might just peter out into mid-table. You can't call it mediocrity, can you? Is it success? What is it? I don't know. For us, it'd be success if we could get there, but we'll just concentrate on the Ipswich game tomorrow. And I suppose you have the advantage, you go into the game sort of destiny in your own hands against one of the sides, as you say, sort of in and around you in the bottom reaches of the table, and as long as you do your job, you'll be fine. If you win football games, you'll be fine. You see Millwall this week going to Derby and they win a football game, you come off the pitch, everything takes care of itself when you win. I think for the league table, for every team, majority of teams, even for Ipswich at the minute, albeit not in a great position, if they win an amount of games, they'll stay up. That's for sure. So I'm sure that's what Paul will be telling his players. It's what we'd be telling ours. So we just concentrate on each game as it comes, and